stay open and curious and live in two worlds, open and curious about how this end game's going to play and who's going to be who in the zoo. And on the other hand, and in the other world, soak up as much joy, love, and presence as you possibly can, because that increases your capacity as well to experience the fullest potential of what you can experience when this happens.
They'll keep your frequency high.
Exactly.
So help me understand what we're being told about transcending from the 3D realm into 5D. What does that look, feel like? What's the reality of that for human beings?
Well, you see, we're already there. It's just that it's about developing awareness of when you're there, simply, purely and simply, because you're there, but you just don't realize it at times. It's about realizing when you're there and anchoring in. And that's a large part of switching off the third dimensional movie. So
help me understand. Yeah.
That takes time, and it takes intention, and it takes time to cross the bridge. So it's tuning yourself in to the higher frequency and doing that every day, doing that the ways you know you can. And then eventually you just won't be in the third dimension anymore. And it will happen, and then you will realize it. So it's a gradual thing. You're there already. We're all there already. It's just that we're also in the third dimensional planet. And so we're going in between. And we've got to bring our energy over, our soul energy over from that dimension into the fifth dimension. And so it's like, going back and picking up a few more bags, and, like you're moving to a new house and you go back to the old house and get a few more boxes and bring them over. Except that a lot of the time you just throw the boxes out because you don't need them anymore. So that lessens your anchor in the third dimension. So by going deep and into every aspect of yourself and accepting it, all of your darkness that you don't want to look at, being loving, accepting, witnesses to each other when we're doing that and in our process, that is the most effective way of clearing out your third dimensional anchors so that you don't have to keep coming back. So your reality and potentiality of what you can experience in terms of what we're talking about, of our focus here in terms of what's the truth and what's really happening, it's kind of like we're trying to explain what time's relationship is to our experience when time isn't linear, how to explain what your linear experience will look like when everything's already occurring. Yet we have to, for our brains to understand, we need it to be put in a linear story. So we're told, because this is the way it works, that nobody knows what happens. Well, we do.
But we did, yeah? Did we forget? As in, we do know at some level.
So we're already there talking to us who are here to have an experience and to play. So we're also playing with timelines. Earth is a game board. So the game's playing out and we've come back to tweak it as well. So I wonder what happens when we do it this way. I wonder what happens when we do it this way. We don't want to destroy the game board. So we've got to come back and make sure we can play the game out without destroying the game board, which is the earth. So there's a lot of times we played the game where we did destroy it. And that's why we keep coming back, because we have to keep tweaking it to make sure we can keep everything in balance. So our greatest mission is to balance ourselves. When we balance ourselves, that's reflected to the rest of the planet. And when the planet is out of balance, we can balance it by balancing ourselves and helping each other to balance each other.
And what if the masses don't balance? What happens? Okay.
It's a lot of the time we underestimate how much energy we need to bring down here, and we try, we don't often bring enough. We just haven't actually won the game. Okay, so we haven't actually, this is why it's so important. We haven't actually won the game yet. And this is why this time round in this cycle, we're bringing way more help to balance it so that we don't destroy the earth, actually.
Okay, so at a practical level, tell me about Q. Is Q accessing knowledge beyond the typical 3D realm? How do they get such intricate information about the unfolding of what's happening?
Yeah, that's part of the help.
Yeah. The help's offering access to certain information.
We need access points.
Access points, did you say?
Access points for the help to come in. So information, when shared, creates access points.
Okay.
So the more of us who are accessing information and opening up points of connection, then we can anchor more help energy in. So don't believe that what you are doing is not important. It's actually vitally important. Just don't get caught up energetically in the heaviness of it. Is all we're saying, to keep your energetic body as light as possible, whilst allowing your mind to be curious and aware and opening up access points. So expanding your mind is the best way to explain it. Expanding our minds, which we do through information and, yes, meditation, etc. And yet, and at the same time, keeping the energetic body as light as and clear and clean as possible, and the physical body. So it's not the way that we normally would. It's a way of being harmonious in that endeavour. So we've been able to stop and realise that we're not going to die when all of the structures in the world stop. We've been given an opportunity now to realise that all we need is food, water, love, shelter. We have an opportunity now to know that we can always, so we don't actually have to worry about keeping what we had running before running. We will never go back to that. We will never. That's a devolution. So however you think it looks that it's rolling out, I see a fork and a split. So there is a choice to go either way. It just depends on whether you go with the fear or the love. You don't have to worry about figuring it out. But regardless, and no matter what happens, if you're choosing the higher path and the love path, then it won't matter what happens, it will all turn out. So connect with your heart to know the truth. because the mind will always try to attach to scenarios and facts. It's important to connect the mind with the heart. So when the mind is expanding through curiosity, information, etc., the way to know where to be in that is then to connect with the heart. And sometimes it will be clear and sometimes it won't. So to accept that it's okay. So we are in highly intense times where we can experience the euphoria and we can also experience the absolute despair, but putting more, like moving house into fifth dimension, keep on bringing the boxes over. Just keep on bringing your boxes over from the third dimension. The ones you don't need, just throw out as you're crossing the bridge. Eventually, you'll leave with a backpack and that's it. So that might happen in your physical life. Don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid to let go of absolutely everything, because it won't matter anyway. But that might be shocking to consider that at this point. It's ultimate freedom, though. It's ultimate freedom.
Okay.
So we're in a preparation. We've been in preparation forever, but right now is we're just on the threshold. We are on the threshold of watching this whole thing play out. And we just need to observe more than anything and not get hooked in. But just then step back out and watch it play out.
Is there a time frame around this? You said it's at that point in the game where it's really intense because the game is coming to an end. Can you give us an idea of time frames, what we can expect around a timeline?
It's being shown 2 to 3. I don't know if that's months or years. Everything will be over in 3 years is what I'm getting.
And depending on what over is.
The game will be finished in 3 years. As in everything that we're wondering about. That's all going to, so there's all of the deconstruction will be complete because there's a lot to deconstruct. But the whole process will be finished within 3 years. And we just got to hold it. Look, we don't ever, as humans, experience something until we really, really have to. So there can be some rough times. There could be some really rough times, and yet that will be the gateway. It will be the gateway. So yeah, be prepared to let everything go.